Looks like we all have assignments.
I got to sit reading to you're both going to be in trouble.
Whole house.
Got a couple of stars. I'd like to call order this meeting of the Fairfax City Council. Everybody could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Start with the roll call. Everybody's present here today. Need approval of the agenda. There is an addition. The Rural Fire Association is here. Put in spot 12A, fire call. Motion to approve with the addition. Jenny moves.
I'll second it.
Josh seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. There is no unfinished business. So we'll move on to open a public hearing for the consideration of transfer of the local board of appeal to an open book meeting for a minimum of 3 years. Is there any comment on that? There's no comment on that. I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second that motion.
All first and front.
Oh, yeah.
Jenny made the motion, Ralph second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Bid openings and quotes, we have none of those. There's no actual presentations. And then we move on to the consent agenda. Is there any questions about the consent agenda? With that, we'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So move.
Josh makes a motion.
Second.
Rick seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Then we have Bolton and Mink here, resolution 2017-03, approve the plans and specs and ordering advertisement for bids.
Just a quick introduction to the project because there's some new faces here who weren't here for the improvement hearing portion, but the work is on 2nd Street in between Trunk Highway 19 and 2nd Avenue, and on 2nd Avenue in between 2nd Street and 4th Street, and then the alley that's across the street from the park that goes towards the city shop. So it's street and utility reconstruction work there. Estimated project cost of about $940,000 to do the work. There's a set of plans here, and I can leave that if anyone was interested in reviewing those. Meeting with staff tomorrow to kind of go through the final details of the plans, and then they're going to be ready for advertisement. The intent was to call for bids maybe the last week of March, first week of April, and you'd have bids available then for your consideration at the April 11th council meeting.
Anybody have any questions? Make a motion to approve the resolution 2017-03.
So move.
Josh makes a motion.
Second.
Rick seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, thank you.
The next agenda point was the Fort Ridgely Golf Course, but we're missing a participant at the moment. Oh, he is here? Okay, he's here. Oh, here we go. Hey, sorry, my bad. So we have Tim Miller and Andrew Lane here to want to make a couple comments on.
I'm more than happy to, but where's Lane's not here yet, is he?
I have.
Oh, I thought. Well,
Okay, Tim.
I'm sorry.
okay, sorry, Tim. Well, then we'll just we'll table that for the moment. And we'll move into the second reading and adoption of ordinance 124, which creates the solar energy ordinance. That was read first last month, obviously. So is there any questions or concerns about that? Okay, and then the second point here is the Rural Fire Association.
Motion for this ordinance.
So we got to make a motion for the reading of the ordinance.
I'll make a motion.
Jenny makes a motion.
I'll second that one.
Ralph seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carried. Then we move on to 12A Rural Fire Association. Justin.
Want us up there?
Yeah, Jack and Mr. Weldy. Or you can
Jack's the soul.
Jack.
You're just here for moral support?
Yes.
We had a rural fire meeting last Tuesday, I believe it was, and the question has come up the last couple of years. In the country, if there's a fire or an ambulance call, there's a fire run charge that gets charged to the whoever the thing happened to, and the insurance pays for that. I mean, that's built into everybody's insurance policy. I checked with Craig at Fairfax Agency, and it's like in the city, anybody with a policy in the city, if they have a homeowner's policy, I guess you can't say for 100% sure everyone has it, but 95% of the people that he's aware of, it's already in the policy, the fire run charge. So our question at the rural meeting was why we're not charging fire run charges to the city of Fairfax when there's a fire at your house or whatever that happens to be. Because it's there anyway. I mean, it's built into your insurance policy already. You're paying the premium on it. And our fire department is probably losing, well, I don't know. Depends on how many calls you have, but could be $4,000 or $5,000 a year, depending on the year.
Yeah.
So that was our only question, is why it wasn't done in the city, or if that's something you would be interested in doing.
Does anybody have any comment on any reason why you don't think that should be an option?
Why isn't it? I guess
Well,
I don't know why.
that's probably a better question.
That was our question too, is why it wasn't done, because like I said, we've been doing it, well, all our life. I mean, as long as we've been there, we've been doing that.
I suppose it was just many years ago, it was just adopted that way and they just never changed it.
And I mean, and you're providing the same service essentially, so it should be, I would think, built the same.
With essentially the same equipment that's maintained
And it would be
for the
much
most part
better.
50-50.
Commingled.
And I don't know exactly what the ownership split is, but it isn't real far from 50-50 by the time you get right down to all of it, I don't think. So that's why we're here, I guess, just to bring it up, and apparently no one is really even aware of it, that it's not happening, I guess, probably.
Yes, I didn't really know
I
that.
didn't realize it, all the towns around with their charge,
We know Franklin is charging that, we just found out that they've had their meeting about a week before ours, or a day before.
They charged for a couple of years.
What do you charge for a fire call, 500 or 1,000?
We're at 1,000 now.
1,000? Okay.
Mr. Wilde.
We kind of go with what the insurance companies, they bring that up every once in a while, so if they raise it a couple hundred, we usually raise it to try and stay.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're paying it, why not charge it,
So the insurance rate is essentially 1,000, and that's kind of the standardized, from what you found out?
From what we found out, that's kind of a standardized, or at least an average anyway. I'm sure there's a few places more and a few less, but
I guess I would say, I don't know if you necessarily need to charge the same as we do out in the country. Franklin has a graded situation. They charge $750 for the call, and then after the first hour, there's an additional $100. And so if the fire department is there for the fourth hour, you're going to pay $1,050. And so
but essentially,
there's all kinds of rates.
But essentially, the $1,000 is there in your insurance policy anyway.
Yeah.
So why not? I guess that was our question. Why not? If we can get an extra $4,000 or $5,000 some years for the fire department, why not do it?
Do you take out more equipment when you go out in the country, or is it the same equipment?
It's basically the same no matter what.
Okay.
Depending on what the fire is or
Right.
what the call is. It all depends on each situation. It's about the same.
I mean, if
And
it's the
it
same
depends on how many
equipment,
people show up.
the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got enough people to drive everything.
I guess that was our question.
I mean, is there any concern about it from anybody up here?
charge the same or charge less in town, or, I don't know.
Same equipment, same calls, I mean, same insurance policies essentially, I would say.
And the funding for the fire departments comes from
Both their,
the rural and the city. right?
Yeah, I've got,
50/50.
yeah, we just had a meeting and
Anything fire related is all split 50/50.
How many calls do you have in town?
And how many in the country?
Probably about the same. You know, if,
Do you charge for accidents?
yep. Because we go under traffic control, or we have to do, just in case a car starts on fire, you gotta have
Right.
a charge line there just in case, so.
I guess I'd like to get some ideas of what other towns do. What other
Gaylord's
districts do.
1,000, Winthrop's 500, what does Franklin charge?
Franklin is 750.
750 basic, yeah.
But then after a couple hours, they charge by the hour after that.
if I'm understanding right, I think they pay by the hour too to the people out there.
I think so.
So that would make a difference in why they would ask for
But
that extra.
for us, it's $1,000, you know, it's $1,000 out in the country, or here if you're there for 10 minutes or 7 hours, that part's the same. They get some other
Just charge
don't,
one rate? If it's 1,000, regardless if you're out there for 12 hours?
Yep.
Really?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
They get some other minute pay and stuff along the way. The Rural Association pays some, wages isn't really the right word either, donation probably.
There you go. We pay ourselves $7 per call. Is what we get, so.
But you had to drop that to 6 because you had too many calls last year or something like that.
We had a good turnout,
Yes,
good responses.
which is good, you want that.
It has come before the council before, and it just depends on the makeup of the council. Council previously said taxpayers are, levying for fire service, and they just didn't act on it, so it's all in how you look at it.
But we levy in the rural also, the taxes are paying for it out there too. So it's, I'm just saying,
It's in their hands.
yeah,
What
right.
township are you representing here?
Well, I'm representing the total rural association.
Okay, so they all go together.
Yes, we have a rural association, we cover all of Wellington, all of Carroll,
It's like 5.
parts of Martinsburg, Ridgely, and Camp and Bandon. I think I've got them all, right?
The rural associations, it costs them about $63,000 a year for fire and rescue. It's not like they're not being taxed for it.
Yeah. Yeah, that part of it's basically the same. The only place township gets money is from the taxpayers, it's that city, town. So I was asked to make the question, so I made the question, and I can report back with an answer next year, one way or the other.
Is that something you'd like to gather more information on, or do you think?
I would like to see what those rates are, just because I don't know anything about this, but you guys have done this longer than me, so
So maybe table it for further discussion after we do some in-depth research.
yeah.
Motion to table.
I'll make a motion.
Kenny makes a motion. Rick seconds. All in favor, say aye.
I
All opposed?
Who's
Motion carried.
doing research, not me, or somebody, or who is?
Well,
You already have, haven't you?
Well, I have.
well, here,
yeah.
but I mean, it's just to do with other towns and their rates, and if there's differences, we're just gonna look into that.
How many you want? We had 5 or 6 already, so you want, how many would you like then?
Yeah, I would just like that, if I could just take that and read it and have
Oh.
it before, I just don't like to make a decision. until
Yeah, that's fine.
I've understood something,
Yep.
and know what it is.
We'll get,
That's prudent.
I'll have our secretary draft something and get it in writing.
Thank you, Chad.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks, Rick.
That's what he does for me.
Mr. Lang show up? This Mr. Lang? Well, we'll move back here to the Fort Ridgely Golf Course. Tim Miller and Andrew Lang have a little bit of a piece they want to give here.
Well, you're building it up is too much, Mayor Miller, so.
I do what I can.
Refresher.
I do what I can. go first and then?
Yeah, so, well, I'll just start off by saying that both bills have been dropped, both in the House and the Senate. I haven't got a hearing date yet, but that being said, the rhetoric between myself and the DNR is strong. It's been...
They had a disagreement in committee.
Yeah, so knowing the backstory, and I think she didn't think I knew the backstory of the golf course and exactly, technically it's not in my district, it's in my friend's district, so he signed on to the bill, he's supportive of it. There's also a lot of support from Chair Bill Ingerbretson up in the Alexandria area. He is strongly behind it. That Senator Thomasoni from northern Minnesota has a similar situation that he'd like to see remedied, so I think he's more than behind it, and the committee as a whole is behind it. I think the DNR knows it, so after I confronted her, Miss Rivers, her name is Erica Rivers. Mm-hmm. She's the Parks and Trail
Director.
Immediately after the committee hearing, they asked for a meeting with me. Now, that meeting hasn't been scheduled yet, but I think they've kind of felt the pressure and the fact that we're forced to do it. So, that being said, I don't know if you have any more insight than...
Yeah, so just Mayor and Council, thank you for the work that all of you are doing and the community's doing. In many ways, the work that we're doing in St. Paul really isn't that difficult, especially because of the work that you're doing. So we have the bill in the House and Senate that are both submitted. They're dropped, as they say, and at the request of somebody, because of tonight's meeting, we didn't want to have a hearing before tonight. So we were purposely holding off on that. But in the Environment Committee with Chair Dan Fabian, we will have the bill heard. We haven't scheduled a date yet, but literally I could probably go tomorrow and say, okay, let's schedule the date, and we'll figure that out and give you enough time, because we are requesting, we'll be needing some people from the city coming, some friends of Fort Ridgely people will organize all of that. But the bills are the same in the House and Senate. They are going to move forward. Lauren had said there was something in the Star Trib or something like that about the bills being dead. I can most assuredly tell you, not only are they not dead, but Senator Ingebretson, the chair of Environment, is
assured me that we're going to get this done. So.
Yeah, and he's a little bit cranky. He's a little bit cranky towards the DNR at this time.
Yeah, and rightfully so. He brought it up in committee. I didn't bring it up. I was biding my time, and he brought it up, and it's an interesting video if y'all want to watch it. I asked a couple of simple questions of the DNR, and more or less I was talking about money, because that's everything in St. Paul boils down to money. And I asked a simple question about how the money they put into the golf course the last 10 years or so, and I made her answer that question, and then made her after that say that it doesn't align with their beliefs and their master plan as far as the DNR is concerned. I didn't go any further in depth on that, but I did definitely make a point, and I'm curious why they haven't scheduled a meeting yet. And I definitely felt a desire on the DNR's part to make a deal with the city and the friends and move forward prior to this bill being brought to the floor. Now, does that mean we're not going to bring it to the floor? I don't know, Tim. You tell me.
No, this is going to be coming, because what's happening is, and also I understand, Mayor, that the DNR wants to have a meeting with the city council. Has that, they haven't scheduled that or anything like that? No, that's up for discussion here. Okay, so we're proceeding as, there's some people, what the senator is referring to is there's some people that believe that we'll put the DNR's feet to the fire to the point that they're going to want to come here and negotiate short of legislation. And they have opportunity to do that, but we're moving forward normal speed with the legislation. We're not holding off in lieu of that. So they've been given plenty enough time to schedule that at this point. We're just going to keep moving forward. They have until this gets into conference committee. As I've told, we don't know the exact course, but in all likelihood this lined up in the Environment Omnibus Bill, which will be, kind of getting towards May sort of thing. But we'll work through that. But we are proceeding forward with the legislation because that's what we have best known now. And I want to compliment all of you. Again, you've made our work extremely easy, because when we talked about this a year ago, how long ago now? I'm losing track. Yeah, you're right. Just about a year ago, one of the things that I said is the DNR
we can talk about a lot of rhetoric, but the bottom line is that the DNR does not want to do this anymore, and that part's true. And so I really place in the challenge of the Friends of Fort Ridgely, the counties, and then ultimately Fairfax, that if we're going to do this, we need to make it work with all things considered. And I think the Friends of Fort Ridgely, which I don't know if they've given their report yet, you've been on the amount that's raised, very impressive. That is incredible. And we go into committee and saying there's X amount of dollars raised, because they didn't even, that's none of their business that you're raising money for this. It just goes to the viability of this. You have that, you're going to be appointing a commissioner or whatever you're calling it tonight that's going to oversee this. I think that's really going to speak to the people. I would say that the general tone in the people that I've talked to in St. Paul is kind of like, they go to the lowest common denominator and they say, give them a chance to do this. If it doesn't work, then you can still turn it into prairie grass in a couple of years. That's a very strong position to be in St. Paul, because basically everyone is saying, just let, I talked to Senator Ingebrigtsen on this, and he said, now this is what he told me, I'm sure he told you the same thing, but he had said, he told the DNR, just do one thing that makes you look like you're working with people. That's all.
It's funny, but it's true.
It's funny, but it's true. There's Senator Tomasoni, a DFL member up there. They have something about a land swap.
That is...
Or is that someone else?
That was someone else. Tomasoni has a very similar golf course, and I don't know the details.
So anyway, the DNR can, and I know they're not here, so it's easy to malign them, but the difficulty is that they have gotten stubborn on this to the point that it's starting to look a little bit ridiculous. So I want to encourage you that in St. Paul, things are going very well. At such time we have the date. It'll probably be on 2 different dates, unfortunately. That's one of the challenges, is it's highly unlikely that they'll be scheduled on the same date, so people that come to one will have to go to the other. Now, the nice thing is it only has to go to one committee.
Yep.
So, because there's no money involved. So anyway, we'll have a discussion before that, Mayor, and whomever else goes with, to discuss what's going to be there. It's not that bad to be in front of the committee. So yeah, so that's it.
Any questions?
Yeah, any questions?
Wow.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for the
Yeah,
update.
absolutely. Well, and I really wanted to come tonight to thank all of you, because it's been a pleasure, but you've really, I can't tell you, Lauren is the one person, for sure. There's been a lot of the other people in this room, and as soon as you start naming names, then you forget people, but it's really been your dedication that has made this possible. We are really just carrying the water in St. Paul. That's not a difficult thing to do with all the work that you've all done, so thank you very much.
The next piece of business on the Fort Ridgely Golf Course is to appoint the board. Marcia has a little brief
Clearly,
statement.
the Friends of Fort Ridgely members have a dedication and a heartfelt drive and desire to serve and give back to the area in saving a regional and beautiful asset for the Minnesota River Valley and Fairfax area. Not only the golf course, but as in the past, the historic site, the commissary, along with the events sponsored by the Friends. Over 1,000 people signed the petition to save the course, but to no avail, with the DNR closing the course September 2016. The Friends have put in countless hours on this project, contacting legislators and using social media, etc., to get the word out on the capital campaign, along with developing the pledge forms and strategies to save the golf course. The goal is to have pledges of at least $25,000 by the council meeting on February 14th. Tonight, we're standing at $26,425 worth of pledges, and this started January 19th. The Friends stand firm that the city of Fairfax will not contribute any tax dollars to the golf course. The people you are considering for appointment to the Fairfax Fort Ridgely Golf Board are fueled with passion and strong commitment to the Fort Ridgely State Park Golf Course and making it a viable operation. This is evident by their commitment and numerous hours given to saving the golf course. These people have experience in business planning, marketing, finance, and the management of golf courses. The council, you have the board appointments in front of you. Bernadette Wilson, a CPA from North Mankato, she actually drafted the business plan for the golf course along with Dennis Hochbeck, a CPA from Fairfax, Mark Tojas, Tom Otto, Daryl Rice, Randy, Chris Mercy. Thank you. And then you'll need to appoint a council member, and then the city administrator is ex officio.
Is there any council member that would be willing to serve on the board?
Good job for the mayor. He's quite knowledgeable.
Mayor sounds good.
I think, Ralph, you like parks.
I do, I really like Port Ridgely, and we spend a lot of time there, but if there's anybody else that wants to do that, that would be fine, but I would jump on there if there was no one else that wanted that.
So Ralph's the man. So, we need a motion to create and appoint the board to the Port Ridgely Golf Course.
I'll make a motion to appoint the board as listed here with Ralph being the city council representative.
Jenny makes a motion.
I'll second it.
Rick seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Next, we need to establish an enterprise fund. I guess I do.
What does that mean exactly?
What does that all consist of, the enterprise fund? Is that where the pledges are going to be?
Yeah. That's where the operation, the pledges will go into that.
And that will be
operating
the
first.
board's
The board.
operating money?
And that is controlled by the city, or that's controlled by their board, or who's the financial host for that?
The city will be.
The city is the financial host.
Any more questions on the enterprise fund? Motion to establish.
One more
Yep.
question. There's no liability to the city if that is overspent or anything like that. There's no blowback on us or anything like that. This is their own thing that we just host, correct?
Right, that's what's supposed to be happening. If the pledges don't come in and we don't have the capital campaign to purchase the equipment needed for the operations, then it won't go.
Okay.
Or if legislation doesn't pass, but that's gonna.
So pretty much if nothing happens, that fund just goes away then essentially, correct? Or-
Or we won't have to establish it
Yeah.
because we won't be bringing
Yeah.
in any monies.
Motion to establish the enterprise fund as explained.
I'll make a motion.
Rick made a motion.
I'd second that motion.
Ralph will second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. We move on to the topic of consideration of legal counsel for lease negotiation. This is Greg, I imagine.
Apologize for almost being late. One of your fine adjacent cities was kind enough to give me a ticket on the way down. And I don't know what he thinks of all of you, because I said, I don't care if you give me a ticket or not. Can you just kind of speed this up? I got to be at the city council meeting in 90 minutes. And he must have heard that as go as slow as humanly possible. Well, just to introduce myself, my name is Greg Erickson. I'm a partner at the law firm of Warman, Cardall, and Erickson. We're a law firm that's in downtown Minneapolis, and we're in the Fifth Street Towers. Our law firm has a significant amount of experience dealing with government entities, including the DNR. Specifically, our most recent interaction with the DNR is when, in their infinite wisdom, they managed to completely drain Lake Curran in outstate Minnesota. And then you'd think you wouldn't have to do anything because they're supposed to protect lakes, and they manage, so we bring it to their attention, hey, you drained a lake. That's not what the DNR is supposed to do. And so of course they dig their heels in and start fighting it. And we're just like, are we in bizarre world? So I mean, your experience with them is not unique. And we actually had to sue them, and we have a lot of connections with various news organizations, and we managed to get this on all the news outlets. And lo and behold, once what they're doing is out there, then unimaginably they come to the table and start behaving and doing their job. Why they do this is beyond us, but thankfully they do, because we get to make a lot of money off it. I really don't think it's good government. But basically, just a little bit about myself. I've been practicing law for almost 20 years. I'm a board-certified real estate specialist, so I've worked on matters up to $500 million. So this is not going to be a difficult, challenging thing for me. And I can tell you, I have 10 copies of the actual lease that with the city of Minneapolis relative to a golf course that the DNR leased to the city of Minneapolis, so you can get a sense of what the terms might be. Thankfully, the lease, although it's 80 pages, it's relatively free of legalese and actually pretty easy to understand for even the normal reader. So I have 10 copies if anybody is interested in the previous deal that's been cut, because to the extent that you take the DNR kicking and screaming to the bargaining table, they're very likely not going to give you a deal that's materially different in scope from the deal that the city of Minneapolis had. That would be my guess. I mean, and I'm just being honest, because to the extent that you want to try to shove something down somebody's throat, it's a lot easier when you say, well, you did it before. Just as a matter of practicality, it's difficult to argue that something that you yourself did before was stupid, But it wouldn't be the first party that's taken that position. So basically, we're willing to offer the city of Fairfax a discount on our normal hourly rates, because you guys are traditionally working with outstate lawyers. My normal rate is either $400 or $375, and I'm willing to work for you. First, because I'm a golfer. Second, because my partner's brother lives in the area. I'm willing to offer my services. I'm willing to offer my services at $325 an hour, which sounds like a lot, but when you're downtown, that's about as cheap as you're going to get a lawyer with my experience. Obviously, my partner Cardall has done a ton of work with state and federal governments. It's basically the huge portion of the work that he's done in his career. So he and I will be working together on various aspects of this representation. Other than that, other than introducing myself and giving the board a retainer agreement, since you probably haven't read this, you're probably not looking for my thoughts in this form. I don't really know what else I'm expected to say or do. Does anybody have any questions of me?
What do you see as the path forward here? I mean, when you look into your crystal ball?
I see this working out in one of two ways. Either they're compelled to negotiate with us, and then I just negotiate the contract with them. or if they somehow, some way, God forbid, the legislation doesn't pass, we have ways of compelling state and federal organizations to do things that they don't want to do. But that would require going to court. And I don't know if the residents have the stomach for that level of expense, but that's basically what we would have to do. And in terms of chances of success, you know, I can't even arbitrate something that I just barely touched on a few days ago. But you know, the position that we would take is there's an irrational basis to do something for the city of Minneapolis that you wouldn't do here.
Is that agreement with Minneapolis an agreement that you worked on, or just an
No,
agreement
it
they
is
have with
not.
somebody else?
It is not. And I was made aware of the existence of this agreement. And, you know, to me, when I've heard of another deal being done, and especially when you're talking about a public entity, the first thing I do is, that's the great thing about dealing with public entities, is you just go and you find a copy of it and review it and take a look at it. Because this may shock you, but I have a lot of things to do. I don't need to make this negotiation into my life's work. To the extent that I can simplify it and streamline it for you, I solve a problem and then everyone's happy. So I try to go to the quickest way to make it to the end, and that's how you just get a copy of what they've done and just manipulate that, and that would be our first position.
Do you have any sense if the DNR is happy with that agreement that they have and what Minneapolis is? Are they happy with that, or you haven't looked at any of that?
With the way that they've been behaving, I don't know. I can't imagine that they were too happy with it because they didn't want to do it again. I can describe the structure of the lease to you, and you know, there's a lot of ways to do leases, but the way that this particular lease is done is there's kind of a lump sum annual payment, and then there's basically they're kind of a joint venture with you, and they take points on the fees of operation. And I will say in this particular lease, if you do choose to do this, it becomes your baby. There is a covenant of continuous use and operation in there that unless it's winter or there's a natural disaster, you got to keep the course open, you know, and that's making money or losing money, you know. So there's a million things that I can explain to everybody about what these terms mean, and thankfully for you and the members of the board, this lease is very understandable. Most of the leases that I work on, you guys would read and you're like, well, I can see that word is English, but the combination of these words together does not look like English to me, you know, and that's how a lot of commercial leases are written, you know. We're going away from that, but you know, there's so much residue because, you know, these things sit for 20 years and then, you know, does a landlord really want to pay a downtown lawyer to rewrite a lease when they've got a lease that has worked for 20 years? No. So there's a lot of residue of complicated language, and thankfully this particular lease is readily understandable by anybody, which I can't make it seem like it's super complicated because it's actually anybody can understand it, which I think makes it helpful for you to understand what you're getting into. I'm not going to say that our deal is going to be exactly like this, but it's going to be in the neighborhood. You know, it's going to be in the neighborhood because it's going to be difficult for us to say that. One of the things we complain about is, why is this good for the city? Why do you bend over backwards for the city of Minneapolis and you won't do that for the outstate cities? It doesn't make sense, you know? One of the reasons why I agree with what you're doing here is, although I'm a really conservative guy financially, I see the benefits of getting everybody's money together and doing, you know, really special things that you can't do in the private sector. I mean, you just can't do it without everybody, like the new stadiums because, I mean, downtown Minneapolis has been revitalized, you know, and you want to keep your area nice. You keep the amenities for the people in your area open. It's just that simple. Because if they close, it looks like you're dying, you know, and nobody wants that. So I think what you're doing is a great thing, and I'm happy to help you, but gotta retain me first.
Mayor and Council, if I could offer my input to you, I have not dealt with anything to do with the DNR, whether negotiating a lease or drafting it. So I, for one, would appreciate, if we're going to go down this path, I would appreciate having someone such as Mr. Erickson involved to assist with it.
And I'd like to add one thing also. And I do need to get your contact information so we can show you the bills. So we're talking about two. I want to clarify. We're talking about two. We have the bills, and let's just say they get signed into law. That's one track. The DNR comes and says we want to negotiate. Effectively, that's kind of another track. The bill that we wrote was very close to that. I don't know how, if word for word, but that's what we tried to pattern it off of. But even if we have the bill signed into law, the way the bill was written really kind of pushed the hands of the DNR, but left negotiating room because we cannot, see, if something's codified in law, to make another change, you have to get the House, Senate, and Governor to sign even a simple thing. And so we purposely had to create wiggle room. So I guess I want to encourage you that if this were to come up after I'm not in the room, and this gets signed into law, don't think we have a lease. We still have to negotiate a lease as is stated.
I'm sorry I didn't make that clear.
Well, maybe you did.
No, I didn't. You have to hire somebody, whether it's me or not me. Somebody needs to do this work, or just you just cross your fingers and hope that the DNR is your best friend.
You're not willing participants your best friend.
Right. So,
Did Mark have a comment that he raised?
Yeah, it's just some background on this lease. The reason it's so simple and straightforward is that when this lease was negotiated and signed, there was a much more friendly leadership within Parks. At that time, we had a guy who enjoyed golf didn't realize that there needed to be relief from what the operating budget for Fort Snelling, and then they initiated the lease that happened here. In addition, at that time, there was a contract signed with the City of Minneapolis. Adjacent to the Fort Snelling Golf Course was the Polo Ground, which was basically an open field, which is now 2 or 3 lighted athletic fields that the City of Minneapolis was allowed to build on that site. So there was some give and take there, and that's why it was as well liked as it did then, and why it's not well liked by the current leadership who are anti-golf.
So I guess my biggest question I have to ask is this something the Friends of the Fort are putting the bill on, or is this something that's going to be on the city here? Because that kind of, I mean, that's a bit of a deal. I mean, I know that's not
I will tell you, an entity with no money, I'm
I get that, but
hugely a big fan of being retained by. I'll have to talk to my partners about that.
But a lot of our biggest discussions that I've heard anyways is the fact that the city's not viable financially, and that's kind of what I've heard as a strong backing for this. So that's just why
I understand that, but the fund can reimburse you, but I just, I'd have to see how everything was structured before I sign up to do the negotiation on behalf of an entity that got formed a day ago.
But that's like I said, that's just the biggest concern.
As I work on the campaign, I anticipate that we have some funders that will proactively give early if need be, and can ask them to do that, so the funds are available early to do the legal stuff that needs to be done. And so I really don't see it as an issue. I think Marcia would concur with me that we have some friends that would want to see this move forward.
Yeah, and then the only other, I mean, what's the retainer fee?
I anticipated being retained by the city.
Well,
We don't need a retainer.
Okay, well, sometimes I've had.
Just like when I work for a bank, I don't say Wells Fargo, hey, how about 10 grand up front?
Well, I just want to make sure.
That's why I like to work
Okay,
with entities that can pay. And to be honest with you, in terms of fundraising and stuff like that, I don't have any problem. The way we structure our business, we get paid at year end. I literally get paid like one day a year. I make a small salary during the year. I get paid on December 31st. To the extent that the money's in at some point before December 31st of this year, I can work with the city in terms of when we get paid. That's not, it's just more the if that is a concern for me.
I suppose there's no real good estimation on the time that it'll take to do a general lease, or, I mean, just.
No, it is 80 pages.
I get that.
So, just reading 80 pages takes you a couple hours, but everything in any lease negotiation all has to do with the other party. I mean, we could have this done relatively cheaply, or it could take forever. It's hard to say. I mean, there's certainly a point where, at any point, you guys can just say, forget it, we're done, we're walking. But whether the deal gets done or not, you gotta pay me for the time that I put into it, and I'm happy to. Whenever you want to stop is fine, and I can tell you at any day how much time I've got into it, and you can turn off the spigot anytime you want.
Yes, sir, Tim.
If the bill is signed into law, we force the DNR's hand to negotiate in good faith with you by a deadline, which is sort of like really putting, that's why I keep thinking they're going to come and want to negotiate outside the bill. Because if it gets signed into law, they're really in a bad place. But just so you understand, it's basically, it's kind of like in the military, who's going to, you volunteer people. That's kind of what's happening here. Yeah, they're being voluntold.
Let me describe something that's kind of similar. The Indian communities, we have a lot of litigation with them, and they're supposedly a separate sovereign, but the reality of the situation is the United States is the superior sovereign, and every right that they have is the United States can take away at any point, and so whenever, it's usually something between a member and a non-member, and we always bring it to federal court and bring it to a head, and they will always settle at the 11th hour because they don't want an adverse decision. Just like in this particular situation, when he puts the heat on the DNR, which is what he's doing, the DNR doesn't want to cede even the slightest amount of power. And so if they, somehow, right on the eve before the bill is passed, out of the goodness of their heart, they approach us to negotiate. That's what they're doing. They don't want this to be signed into law, because if you do it once, you can do it again. And if the legislature starts controlling the DNR with bills, it reduces their power, and this whole thing is all about power. And that's how they operate.
I add one thing. And being in this room now, I'm sensing a little bit of concern about financial liability from one point or another, and between the three groups that are involved with this, the DNR, and let me tell you, you have these discussions in this room, but when you leave this room, when you make a decision, stand by that decision and go at it wholeheartedly. Don't waver with the DNR, because they'll take advantage of it. They've already told me they're gonna have a meeting, they're gonna try to sit down with you, they're gonna try to scare you about the financial liability of it. That being said, these bills don't necessarily talk about money. I mean, it's a policy issue. So, at least for us.
I just have to ask the question, and I'm sure everybody else here is probably wondering kind of the same thing a little bit to an extent, so that's the only reason I brought it up.
Yeah, that's all I would say, is have these discussions, they come on a united front. We as a city, as a Friends of Fort Ridgely, and the Mayflower Country Club are going to do this. We've raised the money, we've hired a lawyer, we've got everything laid out, just let us do it.
Anybody on the council have any questions or concerns about this?
Just to reiterate what you said, I mean, the financial concern is the issue. I mean, that's, you talk about it being a function of power and that. It's also a function of money, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Money is power.
And having an association or a group with pledged money, and then we're the ones that make the commitment, you know, if it all goes south, we're the ones sitting here at the end. And that's not a good position to be in for the people of Fairfax.
100%. But no good deal has ever been done without risk. You know, I know a lot of really successful people, and it's very hard to do anything of any significance without having some risk.
Jenny or Josh? Rick? Something you think maybe we gather a little more information on this as well and kind of...
See, Mayor, Tom back here is pointing something out. Friends of Fort Ridgely actually does have money right now.
Yeah, I understand.
So that...
I mean, I just want to make sure that this is on the page that... I mean, I get the city's doing it because it's going through the enterprise fund, so the city would technically be your, you know, who retains you, but I just want to make sure that it just isn't money just, you know, kind of...
I don't think the DNR is going to do the lease, just so you know.
Well, I'm not
I don't
saying
think the DNR would ever lease something to a non-city subdivision.
And I get that, that's why everything's going through the enterprise fund, that's why the city, but I just want to make sure, and it wasn't more so a question for you, it was more so for a question for the Friends or whoever had the comment that, is there going to be money coming for this legal fees from them and not the city, is more so what I was getting at with that.
I think, Greg, you know, one of the things is obviously the Friends of the Fort as a board, and for the Friends of the Fort as a board to be able to commit any dollars for any legal fees so that the city is not obligated for any of that, needs to be a Friend of the Fort board meeting.
And that was going to be my next actual recommendation.
One of the things, so it's, you know, obviously we have to have a meeting to give you that support. But there's enough board meetings here, board members here to, you know, assume that that can happen. And, you know, as of our last statement, we have over $8,000 of cash on hand. So there is money there if the Friends are willing to support, you know, legal representation.
And we do meet next Monday, so it's not something that's way off either.
I mean, I'd feel more comfortable if that came from the board and then we had the chance to peruse over it, you know, after that fact. Just because it is kind of a big issue and I just like the backing of the board. And then we have the information in front of us for next month's meeting. Does that seem like fair?
Do we have time for that? Would you be willing to come to our board meeting? I mean, our board meetings are always held open. I never have yet held a closed meeting. I've never yet held a meeting behind a closed door. I've got an open door. If you wish to come to our meeting, would you be willing to come to our meeting?
Next Monday does not work for me, but otherwise I would be willing to come to your meetings.
Send somebody, or you could send somebody to come to the meeting or whatever.
What time?
Our meetings normally start at 7 o'clock.
Just, it's at this auditorium, in a small room.
So timing of this all is going to be really interesting all spring long, assuming this proceeds, because it looks like we might be having another spring with grass to be greening up too. I'll be off any week now. But, you know, the DNR is wanting to talk to the city of Fairfax. One's great, it's great that he's retained when he becomes their representative.
But that's something I just want to jump into. I kind of want to have the board support and then have information for us in our packet at least.
I understand that.
For the next
DNR
meeting.
can just cool their jets right now.
I mean, it's nothing against anybody, it's the fact of, I don't want to make a decision in haste and then regret it later, or I don't want anybody to.
Just to make something clear, if somebody in the Friends organization, I assume that there's a lot of wealthy people around here. If somebody wants to personally guarantee it, knowing, because you guys are intimately involved in this, if somebody with the net worth wants to guarantee it, I don't need the city to be a signatory. But the city's going to be my client. I mean, the Friends can be my client if somebody with net worth, rather than an empty entity, guarantees it.
I'm not saying it won't happen.
Or a group of people.
You need to be working for the city.
I need to be working for the city. I need to be representing the city's interests and not the interests of the board. That's how my ethics work.
Right.
Because there's no possible way that the DNR would ever do a deal with your, not in a billion years. And look, I shouldn't say it. I haven't seen anything like it.
Facilities meeting. So that too.
Yeah.
Great.
Yes, sir, Lauren.
I guess my concern, and I don't know how to do it tonight, is we can't afford to lose 30 days.
And
negotiating time with the DNR coming now, that type of a thing. I'd always anticipated the legal fees. I always thought them to be part of the campaign, that type of a thing, and so. I would like to come out of this meeting with the approval of legal counsel. It would come out united, move forward, let the Friends work out an appropriate response on Monday. I can approach some of our benefactors and ask them to step forward. I was given a kind of a ballpark estimate by his partner, and is the city. I don't know ultimately what the bill will be, but is there an upfront number that you're looking for? You're looking for 5,000 upfront?
I just kind of want to make sure that the city's not going to be liable for a big week.
Let me throw another idea at you. We could approve contingent upon the board's approval on whatever day you meet.
Monday they're meeting.
It's something everybody's comfortable with?
I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah.
If that's a thing. Yeah.
We need to come out here united.
Well, I get it, but I just don't want to run into it. Run into it.
We understand, we understand.
I'm not trying to.
You weren't here, maybe you were at the December meeting. I'll stand by my statement in December. If we don't raise $100,000, don't do this. You know, we have to raise the money for Fairfax to move out, and that's our intent.
We need a motion to.
How do we word that so that's make sure that's correct?
Mr. Erickson.
Contingent
on
on
the
approval of the board.
Fort Ridgely Board's recommendation at their meeting. And to get a.
Now, through three people talking at once, what did you write down?
What Aaron told her.
She got it.
Can we get a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Jenny makes a motion.
I'll second it.
Josh seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Okay, then comes to the point of the request of the DNR to meet. DNR has approached me and Marcia, I think both, about meeting just one-on-one with us, well, two-on-two, I guess, but that's not something that we feel should be carried forward. We feel the board should be involved in that, or the council, I mean, in some type of a capacity.
And the
Well, and the
attorney.
Well, I can tell you this. never meet without your lawyer.
Well,
One of the things that I can tell you, if you're cost conscious, having these meetings with the DNR in my office are a lot cheaper than me driving down here. And I know it's winter, people don't like to drive, but it's just a reality. I'm sure the DNR, where they're located, is 2 feet away. They'd be thrilled, and it will save. You can't be wasting money with me having windshield time because I'm too expensive for that.
Speeding ticket.
Right. Which I won't bill you for.
We want you thinking about us when you're driving.
Mayor, I can also tell you that with your council present, in his office, the tone of that meeting will change significantly. Just where it's at and who's there with you. I think
Right.
it actually
Right.
makes it moving
When you're in the
forward.
law firm that sues them all the time, they're like, oh geez, if we don't do this deal, we're gonna be on Channel 5 and then this and then that. We'll have Eric stop in.
Eric made me some promises that if they fail to work with him, then he'll step in with his expertise.
So just kind of wanted to put it out there that it should not just be an administrator in the mayor meeting, and it should be a board and well, whoever else may, but at least the board.
Right. I mean, you're not gonna, there's nothing in the bill that talks about who can be in these negotiations, right? Because the DNR apparently knows these guys, we're not gonna be negotiating with any board.
Who said that? The DNR said that?
Yeah.
Well, they
The
essentially just want to
DNR
meet.
called me, and it was Phil, and I think the commissioner called you.
I've had everybody call me.
I asked them if they could just wait, and we'd have our golf board appointed Tuesday night, and then we would meet with them. And they said, no, we don't want to meet with the golf board, we want to meet with just the mayor and you. That's it.
That's because they get intimidated.
Yeah, and get around the problem.
But so I mean, I just
Your tax dollars at work.
don't really want to know if we really need to motion anything on that, but just kind of make it aware more so that we would like to meet as a board instead of their requests.
But no, I understand, I do agree going to his office, so the board or whoever represents the board needs to be willing to.
Yeah. The
Jump
letterhead
in.
from his office sent to the DNR or the call from his
And
office is.
And we'll arrange a meeting after the board meets and the such.
Or you guys can have the meeting down here and I can just be by phone. They will know who we are, okay? They know, trust me, they have a picture of Eric up on their wall and they throw darts at
We're not setting a meeting, we're not setting who's going to be there, we're just making the overall, the object of this, that it's not going to be just,
My concern is it's difficult to control 8 people if I'm not in the room.
no, I'm not saying anything about that, I'm just saying, that all I'm saying is we're going to meet as a board with whomever, but at a to be determined date. And that's all we're saying here, so.
The best answer in my profession, being in the insurance business, once someone hires an attorney, you hired an attorney tonight, I can no longer talk to you. I gotta talk to him. So tell the DNR you hired legal counsel, set the appointment up.
Well, we'll wait till the board, we already
Yeah.
made that resolution, so. But, so if that's done, we'll just move on from there, because I mean, I just want it known that we're gonna negotiate as a board, not as individuals, is all I wanted out there.
Yeah, I think that's fine by consensus.
Yep.
Yes, okay with that.
I mean, okay. So we already did 13 here, so move on to 14. Clark Environmental Mosquito Management Contract for 2017.
No, I don't think we did 13.
Yeah, just
Transfer.
Oh, I did 12, sorry, no. We do need to do 13. Approve the transfer of duties from the local board of appeals to.
Anything else for Mr. Erickson?
Oh, no, sorry. I mean,
Can I have a copy of that, please?
Absolutely. I can give everybody a copy.
I don't need a copy, I'm good.
We'll just try and get this rolling here as quick as we can otherwise, so we can get it done.
Thank you.
Hi, Marcia.
Ralph will let me out of the facility.
auditorium.
I cannot let you out of that facilities meeting.
I can't make, that was one of the only two that I could make it to.
Anybody?
Thank you.
Welcome.
I'll take this.
Nice meeting all of you.
I'll take a copy of that, please.
You know, if that guy over there is the cop, he can maybe get you out of my ticket. Really? Yeah, right back there. It's a tall skinny one right there, sitting in the second row.
I read the one
He can
in
maybe get you out of that
and
ticket.
the other.
Where was
that? Same.
Starts with a G.
Yep.
Thanks, Doug.
All right, Tim, part-time.
Okay, moving on. Point 13 here, approve the transfer of duties from the local board of appeal to an open book meeting, as discussed earlier in the public hearing. Can I get a motion to approve?
I would make that motion.
Ralph, second the motion.
Second it.
Rick will second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Yeah, second, yep.
Sorry, I'll speak a little louder.
And then on to the Clark Environmental Mosquito Management Contract, 6 biweekly treatments, $4,110, $10 increase per time.
Time that they start spraying, what time of year?
I think the first one was in June.
I suppose that can be changed. I suppose if this would get to be really early summer and the mosquitoes are bad. Just because it said there was a certain per application charge, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, $6.99.
I mean, I don't know, I've always heard good things about this in the past. It seems to help quite a bit on my eyes anyways. So is there any concern about that? Nope. Can I get a motion to approve that contract?
I'll make a motion.
Rick makes a motion.
I'll second that.
Ralph seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. And we're on to point 15 here, on sale intoxicating liquor license and Sunday liquor license approval for Max Smokehouse. $1,800 fee, $1,600 for the general liquor, and $200 for Sunday liquor. Is there anybody here that has any questions about that? New barbecue restaurant that Mr. McFarland and his wife are opening in town, so we all know. If there's no questions or opposition, can we get a motion to approve the license?
I'll make a motion.
Rick makes a motion.
I'll second it.
Josh seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. And we're on to point number 16. John Ornelius property, 25 First Street Southeast. Got a deed. Or what is it then for? Northeast?
Is it northeast?
Oh, yeah. It's
Yeah.
Okay, we'll change that to 25 First Street Northeast.
Tear down ground. I need that later. We gotta take care of that one.
But what, we have a signed deed the way it sounds?
Yeah, I came in and signed a quitclaim deed over to the city, and so I got that up at the recorder's office, so it'd be appropriate to request estimates or bids to find out what it's gonna cost to take it down.
I know last time it was brought up by Joel about the fire department maybe being interested in that. I'm just,
It might be gutted enough, I don't know, it's, from the photos, it was.
oh, that had a cluttered problem?
No,
Oh,
actually.
it didn't?
It didn't, but it was, I don't think it had any appliances, it might, I mean,
It's pretty open.
Yeah.
The last time I was in there.
So feasibility and cost would probably be a little better that way, I would imagine. Give a try.
There's no furniture in there.
It might make sense to look at it, I don't know.
Look into it.
Yep, I can look into it and call the school and see what we do, so.
And then maybe see if obtain a couple bids to remove what would be left if we do burn it, or if
Yeah, you'll have to definitely do the basement and everything
Yeah.
else once it's done.
So maybe looking, or
I forgot one thing. I did agree that they could have a couple of weeks, and this 1 week would have already gone by. They had a few items left in there, and I said, fine, clean it out.
Yep. So,
but-
Fair.
So, yeah, so we'd want to wait till at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd take at
Another
least a
week.
month before
Yeah.
the fire department would even be able to do anything for
Alright,
permits
just-
and everything. So.
Yeah.
So, as far as I'm concerned, obtain cost to burn it down and remove it that way, and then maybe get a couple bids to just do a complete demolition and removal.
Yep.
And then we'll
Come back and see.
come back.
Yeah.
And I guess motion for the bid requests.
I'll make a motion.
Rick makes a motion.
Second.
Josh seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carries. We're on to Marcia, staff reports. City administrator.
The building permits in January were the Dollar General for construction of a new store and Mike Freitag basement repairs. In the 2017 budget, the fire department, I guess Joel could tell you too, but the tanker, we had in the budget for a new tanker truck
Correct.
for $50,000, and it turns out that the tanker that we have now, the tank is got a
Yeah, it's got
lifetime
a
warranty on
lifetime
it.
warranty on it, so. The Midwest Fire, the company that it was purchased from is gonna fix the tank for free. There's a lifetime warranty on it, so we won't need to,
But
we won't need all the money, but we're gonna do a little upgrading to it, so we need maybe the max of 30,000 at the most to do some of the upgrading on it. If that, I mean, it'd probably be about 20.
So it's gonna adjust the budget accordingly for that. He's got some air tanks and some work on the truck that.
Yeah, we gotta purchase all the air tanks too, so.
And the other thing is that in the electric fund, we met with League of Minnesota Cities Insurance person that comes out every year and does inventories, not inventories, but brings out recommendations. And one of the things when we were talking with him is that OSHA has safety equipment that you can get grants for up to $10,000, and wondered if we were successful in obtaining a grant of $10,000. In the 2017 budget, we have $14,000 allocated for this vacuum excavator, and we have $14,000 next year. Wondering if the city council would like to adjust the budget if we in fact would get the $10,000 OSHA grant to purchase it this year. It'd be a savings over the 2 years of $10,000, but an additional $4,000. But the only way we would go through with purchasing it this year is if we receive the grant.
Dumb question, but what's a vacuum excavator?
Basically, you use like if you got a broken underground wire, you can pothole it. It's like a pressure washer wand. You can pothole blow the ground out, and you got a sucking. It's basically like a vacuum cleaner, and you can suck all the dirt that you're in the water that you're blowing out, and you have a hole like 6 inches instead of having 3 people shovel a 4x4 hole. Just
So it would save more than just the cost of
yeah.
the
rest. It would save your labor. It would save everything.
All the big contractors use that. They
Yeah.
don't even dig hardly anymore.
You could use it for, even when you go to clean out catch basins at the
Oh,
fall,
yeah,
you can suck all the leaves out of the catch basins. You can utilize it for a lot of things. If we have a gas issue, you can suck down, open up the gas line that you need to look at or whatever. So.
I think with the savings from the fire department, I mean, if you got a little bit extra room in the budget to work with, obviously, and if it's contingent upon a grant, I would make a motion to add that contingent upon the grant, or the grant, or I would ask for a motion to approve that contingent on the grant. Anybody have any questions?
I'll make a motion to do that.
Jenny makes a
second it.
motion, Josh seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Then the next thing is the Silver Sky. They work with Harlan Technology, the company that we have our software licensing with and our maintenance agreements. You didn't have it in your packet, but you have it there now, and I know that I had two council people ask me about setting up city email accounts. And this is kind of this a la carte. You don't have to take everything, but if you had 8 mailboxes, it would cost you $115 a month. And that's if you want to utilize all the different options. They would archive emails for each phone, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, depending on what you wanted. You could set them up as a description, like and then when the mayor's term is up and he's no longer, and they wouldn't run again, or they're whatever, that they would just change that email account, the passwords and the name on it. So everybody would have an email address, and your emails would be archived with this company. And based on what you wanted, a year, 3 years, or 5 years, the council would have to determine how long they would want their emails archived. That way, if there was ever any litigation or anything, they go right to this company, and they don't come and take your computer equipment or your iPhones or whatever, that they have all the information right there.
Yeah, you absolutely want to have your own
Mhm.
separate email account for city email. No question.
Can you just get a Gmail account?
Well,
You could, I'm just saying, don't use your own personal
Yeah,
one.
I know.
Yeah. Doesn't have to be
But
this,
if they use
just a
if they use
dedicated.
a personal email, and they can still come after their computer equipment, right? I mean, this here, they're archiving it and saving that. And
But if it's a Gmail account, it would all be in the cloud, and they would, like if you had a separate council email, Gmail account, then that wouldn't be on your dedicated server. But
Yeah, you just
Or
don't
just
want
go
to mix it
web-based.
with.
right, your personal.
I guess that'd be cheap enough too. I mean,
But who's gonna
Wouldn't have to
oversee and
cost.
manage that, I guess? Is that gonna be an individual base by base, or this way you can at least get an email with said name at such and such, and not everybody, so it's not Jenny at Gmail, Josh at Yahoo, you know. And then this way you can offer it to maybe the department heads as well for use in the city. So,
Yeah,
'cause I mean, so their business can run through a, I mean,
It'd be
this-
consistent that way, and I don't know anything about this
Yeah.
service, but probably it's gonna be,
it will have its own
Organized, yeah.
domain. It'll be
Yeah.
City of Fairfax, MN.gov.
and I mean, that
And
just looks,
then we would all have the same convention as our login.
Yeah.
And, yeah, because I do worry about, you know, I work in another public setting, and you have to be careful what you put on there and what you don't. And I don't like those mingled.
I mean, and it isn't overly expensive, I don't believe. And it's not as cheap as email or Gmail, but this way you get a kind of a more structured grouping.
And this would be a question for you, or if someone sends us an email and we respond to it and copy our school email, copy our, I don't want to do that, but we copy our city council email, does that count as an archival of that email? Because people are going to contact us the way they can contact us. So how do we get that into a system that's archived and keep that in the proper setting? Because what I don't want to do is just not answer an email.
Email back and ask me to please reply to.
I think I would do that, just ask them to use the official city one.
For the city business, yeah.
I know it's a little bit difficult, but. it would
Well, no,
definitely-
we just all need to follow the same convention on what we're going to do, otherwise we're going to have trouble.
I think you're gonna wanna ask them to use that.
Yeah, okay.
For city business, use the city one. Just to be safe.
I mean, is there any other question or concern? You're going to extend this to the city heads as well? So,
And I don't know if it's important that some emails are encrypted. I mean,
Maybe not so much for the lead or the head personnel, but for at least for the council and, well, and your correspondence anyways.
there are some things that should be, if they're dealing with any,
Can we get our packets emailed to us then? Instead of
I'd be
copy?
for that.
A packet is public information.
yes.
What we do is when it's going to be something that should not be on the email, we'll make reference to it and then do the confidential or private data in hard copy or in a secure form. Because then, you know, we deal with agencies outside of our school that want confidential data, and then that's always tricky.
Yeah.
Because when I send something to Riverbend or another school, that's a problem.
An example, personnel data is always sensitive. So that's,
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if we go about it as a kind of an a la carte per person by person basis, what we think they need, you know, what if we think they need encryption or not, and kind of go from there with this quote. I mean, make the motion that, you know, like maybe kind of classify who should have encryption, who should, and go from, and kind of play off the a la carte right there. Granted, it does, I mean, it's only 3 months, so that's it. I mean, it's something we probably need to do, or should have been done, but is everybody kind of happy with the proposal the way it's written here?
Well, I'm not sure I understand it all.
Well,
I just started looking at it.
I get it, well.
If you want to table it until the next meeting, right? Or if you want to do, just set up a separate account.
Don't make me know.
I just asked the guy when he was in my office, do you have anything like this? And he says, yeah, I could put a proposal together for you, so.
Well, let's walk through this once. I mean, we have 8 mailboxes that we set up. Estimated labor is subject to the installer review. So they do some labor on this and they install those things. Labor's at $140 an hour, is that correct?
Their install was, and the software and the stuff was $784.
And that's just a one-time upfront, correct?
That's the one time.
And then we have a monthly.
Then the monthly fee is the 8 mailboxes would be $5.04.
Kind of based upon the needs that, again.
Yes, and then if you want to have it sync with your phone, I think it's 96 cents.
Is it cloud-based, so we can log in from anywhere and check it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, you can. And then if you wanted encryption, and I asked him, and I haven't got an answer on that, if you can have just like one phone that would have encryption. I don't know if everybody would need encryption, I'm just thinking that maybe the office phone, the office mailbox, the city administrators maybe.
Well, this says in email encryption domain wide, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's times the 8 lines for the $26. I got you. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if they would just offer it on one, that I don't know. Because they're offering it on 8 of them.
Yeah.
But they do allow for the storing of the emails, you can use 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. You want to do just 1 year? I mean, those aren't, they're not charging for 1 year, 3 year, and 5 years. You get to pick one. See, they had mixed it up, 4 and 2 and 2.
So kind of to show you a little bit different.
Yeah.
So, I mean, are there any other questions on this, or is it something that should be tabled and looked at, or is there enough information to make a motion?
So we're talking about spending $748 up front and then $115 a month.
But I mean, that's investing into the next, probably, tournament, and the council and stuff as well. I mean, and that's,
Does this seem to you like this meets the standard of best practice for?
Disclaimer, I mean, I'm not an expert on which provider, but it seems to me like it would be appropriate, yeah. I mean, I haven't compared the different services out there, but it seems like it would go a long way to protecting you against if there's data requests or discovery requests and litigation. I think you're definitely going to be way far ahead of if you have your own private.
And I guess I'd like to do this before we started working with the Fort Ridgely, like,
Mhm.
before we have too many of those communications going on. I think that would be prudent.
I just think it require, unless anybody thinks it requires more discussion, you know, motion to approve kind of a la carte as deemed necessary per person. Or
I'll make a motion.
Rick will make the motion.
I'll second that motion.
Ralph seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
All
Did Jenny
opposed?
make the motion?
Oh, no,
No.
I made it.
Rick did, sorry, Rick and then
I'll
Ralph.
second it.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Just to inform the city council out there, a problem has occurred with billing between Heartland and New Ulm Public Utilities Commission. In December, the New Ulm Public Utilities Commission decided they were going to bill Heartland for on-account gas. I sent the bill to Heartland Farm Products. They refused to pay it. So then I removed the portion of on-account gas and sent it to them again, and they still refused to pay it. They wanted me to guarantee the gas carried forward on the bill, and I couldn't do that because I don't do the gas charts, and I'm not involved in the gas charting. So Heartland has now paid the December portion of the bill that they normally would have paid, but they didn't pay any of the on-account gas. New Ulm is billing us for the on-account gas. I'm only paying everything but the on-account gas because the city of Fairfax can't finance Heartland Corn Products to a tune of $57,000. So I'm hoping that they met last Friday, and I think they're meeting again this week sometime to see if they can work something out.
Is this new unaccounted gas?
This is a new thing, yes. This is, it doesn't say in the agreement that that the city of Fairfax would be billing for on-account gas, so I told Mom that I wasn't going to. They're still billing it to us. I bill it to the Heartland. Heartland denies it. Then I take the on-account gas off and I send it to them. So it's kind of a big mess right now.
Okay, it's my turn for the new person question. What's unaccounted gas?
Boy.
Oh, unaccounted gas. How do you explain that? They nominate gas on a daily basis, right?
Yeah.
And then if they don't, or is that the imbalance? They don't use it, that might be the imbalance. Unaccounted gas is in the line, it's
gone through the line, but it's not been metered.
But it has not
It's
been
not gone
metered.
through Heartland's meter.
Correct.
But it's
Yeah.
gone through
But it's
our-
gone through New Ulm's meter.
Correct.
Yeah,
Ah.
so it's,
12 miles.
I don't get involved in the nominations and the unaccounted gas and all that. And so I just said, I can't guarantee anything. He says, then you won't get paid. And I said, work it out with New Ulm. They're the gas charging. So I just thought the council should be aware of there's a mess.
So New Ulm runs a gas line to Heartland.
No, the deal is that
It's very
it's
confusing.
the city of Fairfax, when we constructed the system, we got our gas from Northern Borders, which was the TBS out there by Heartland Corn Products.
Okay.
That's where we used to get our gas. Then Hutchinson and New Ulm built this Hutchinson gas line, and then we purchased off of the Hutchinson gas line. We no longer needed, we abandoned that portion of the line from Hutchinson gas line to that TBS out there by Heartland Corn Products.
Town border station.
Yeah. So we have that line. Now Heartland decides they're going to no longer buy from Northern, and they're going on the Hutchinson line. How are they going to get the gas? They're going to pay us to transport the gas to Heartland. So we have a gas line from Hutchinson gas line to Heartland Corn Products that we charge transportation on.
From New Ulm.
Yeah, building on the
But
curb.
New Ulm builds the gas, correct?
No, we buy the
Yeah,
gas.
Buy the
from
gas,
New Ulm.
yeah, buy the gas.
We buy gas from New Ulm, Public Utilities. We're like a customer.
Yeah.
We're littler than 3M, basically. So, so we have an agreement that was set up back in 2004 where they couldn't, they couldn't sell, New Ulm Public Utilities Commission could not sell gas to Heartland. So they used us as a conduit, and so we were billing. So that agreement is all in place, and all of a sudden now they want us to, on account of gas. And that was the December bill, and it was $57,000. I'm sure they sat back in their chair when they got that bill, because it was $106,000.
It's very complicated.
It is.
It's happened in the past. They figured out one of the issues. I was hoping we'd never hear about it again. They had it figured out.
Because Hutchinson Utilities is paying New Ulm Public Utilities close to $1 million from all that mess on the...
From the previous on account of gas?
Yes, for the Pacific Gravity that was not changed in the meter on a regular basis, and Hutchinson was making a lot of money, and New Ulm was losing a lot of money. It's a mess.
But at this point, this is more just an information for us, and you don't need us to really do
No,
anything.
no, I'm hoping that that New Ulm Public Utilities and Portland Corn Products can work it out. It's only been 2 months now, and I'm billing it the same way I was billing it before. I don't put on account of gas on us. I don't know if that's right or not. New Ulm feels bad. Portland Corn Products feels bad, but they're still putting it to us.
We feel worse.
Yes, we do. But I just felt like the council should be aware of that.
On account of gas.
And I can't explain any more than that, because that's where we are.
Well, just keep us updated.
And I don't know how we're gonna get it resolved, but hopefully we will. The Personnel Committee should meet and review applications. That'd be Jenny and Josh.
Yep. You have a few?
Yep. So, I don't know when you wanna schedule that.
For you.
How soon do you want to do it?
Whenever you guys can.
I'm pretty flexible.
I have the day off Thursday.
What time?
Anytime.
Right away at 8 in the morning? I can do that.
That work for you, Marcia? Thursday morning, this Thursday?
Thursday? What time?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock?
Okay. Any questions on the financial statements? I'm sorry I haven't gotten the new budget figures in there, but I can't do that until I close out year end, and I haven't gotten the pension liability figures from the auditor yet. So next month it should be good to go. That's all I have.
Joel?
Just been doing some building maintenance and vehicle maintenance.
Nope, not plowing any snow, huh?
No, it's been pretty quiet. Maybe sweep streets if it keeps being nice.
And you have a liquor store manager report? Any updates or anything that you know of? Okay. Remember, is it around the police chief Freilich?
Excuse me. Sorry. Okay, we had 144 different events last month. Does anybody have any questions?
Well, that's shortened to the point.
Our new squad car did come in. It wasn't supposed to come in until this week, but it came in a week early. So all we have to do now is just wait for the guy in Wilmer to get ready to put the lights and stuff, all the equipment that goes with it. So, and nothing else.
Thanks, Scott.
Okay, thanks.
Move on to some committee reports. EDA minutes included were from December and January's meetings in the packet.
I don't know if you want to schedule, set a time, or if you want to get a hold of me on when you want to do liquor and police committee meetings. We usually did them monthly.
And we kind of find a common time that works with the people on those boards is what we kind of have gathered.
What time do you usually do them?
The liquor one, we used to do at 5 o'clock the first Wednesday of the month, and the police always was 8 o'clock on the first Monday. Then it got changed to 6:15 before council meetings.
Don't make me any difference. Anytime after 2.
I'd like to hook them up with the meeting if it's
The
possible.
meeting?
Yeah, then I just have one thing to
6:15,
shuffle around.
Okay.
That works for me.
Sometimes it's a busy.
6:15 on
Yeah,
council meeting night? Okay.
for the police one, right? I'm on the police one, I think.
Do we need to meet every month?
We didn't have to meet this month.
Well, is every other month enough unless something comes up
Well,
and
if
you
something
need?
comes up, I can
then you
let
can-
Marcia
yeah.
know. and-
So every other month's 30 next month, I suppose, once you email them this.
Yeah.
Mainly, the stuff that comes up is usually from the council, they have questions or something, so.
Okay. Well, if we need something, just let Marcia know, we can call a meeting quick. So.
And do we get like an extra notification of that, or is it posted in here, or how do we just know that's happening?
I will send you an email.
You'll send me an email on my new,
And the agenda.
my new secure email.
Exactly.
Okay.
Josh, are you in the liquor board too?
Yeah.
5 o'clock time work for you? With Rick?
Yeah, anytime. I get off work at 3 o'clock, so 3:30 or so.
Wednesdays don't work for me, not at 5. I could do Tuesdays.
Yeah, that's fine.
We're talking liquor now?
Yeah,
Oh,
sorry.
sorry, Marshall.
So when do we got it? We don't have it nailed down yet.
First Tuesday at 5 o'clock,
First Tuesday?
if that works.
5.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, now we're on the couple correspondence. The board of commissioners opening in the packet. They encourage involvement in the Minnesota Development Commission, Region 6 East. Something to look at there. And then community.
I think we're past that deadline already, aren't we?
Yep, February 10th. And then community participation meeting 221 is what's that about, I guess.
That's sponsored by the EDA,
Oh.
and that's that.
Well, you did come up in our meeting.
You're
Yep.
running that one.
Nope, Dennis did.
That's your meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be there, 2:20, February 21st at 5:30 at the community center. And there aren't any items that there's any concern about that should maybe be considered for next month that we haven't already discussed?
Are you expecting me back with a report at next month's meeting on that fire or thing, or is that what we're looking for?
Unless.
I think it's fine, I'm just.
I think just get us the information.
I mean, just we have it in our packet pretty much, just so we can kind of go over it and see, if we're paying what we should or whatever, getting paid what we should.
Well, yeah, I'll do that, but like I said, it really doesn't matter what other towns do, I guess, because it's there already, it's in the insurance policy already, but yeah.
Just so we have an idea, Jack.
We'll do some legwork, we'll get something. Jerry will make a few calls.
I mean, not trying to make it difficult, but just so we have something kind of concrete to look at is all. That's all right. Otherwise, nothing else, gonna get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Motion, Rick, second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
No, I'm just tired of meetings. I've been meetings all freaking day.